take a look at the receiver here. See, now that I find interesting. If you guys can see that. Most of them, like I said earlier, except the last 3 numbers is what's usually on the barrel. Last 3 numbers of the serial number is what's stamped on the barrel. This one, for whatever reason, I can see has the whole number stamped on it. 787337. Interesting. It's the only one I've seen with the whole serial number stamped on it. I have to say I don't think I see any import marks on it. I don't see any outright on it anyways. Nothing stamped up here at the barrel. Barrel's clean. So I don't know. This rifle could have been in the United States for a long time. Would have had to have been sometime before 1968 theoretically if it's not import stamped. Beautiful trigger mechanism. Right? Beautiful trigger. Dual fulcrum. There's your first stage fulcrum, that pin in the receiver. And then your fulcrum for the sear is back here. See how it goes? How it catches that other one? Boom, and then boom, catches that other one, right like that. Boom, and then off to the races you go. Okay, now let's remove the release lever. Pretty straightforward little... I just take a screwdriver, put it in there, put one there, and I just kind of, once you break it loose, once you get it started, it will just come out. Boom. Done. No big deal. Goes in even easier. Next thing we'll do is knock the sight out of it. Right? Let's go knock the sight out of this thing. Of course, your ejector. Right? Nice pieces of work right there. And another thing, let's check and see. This will probably have, no doubt, have a SIG barrel on it. Let's see here. And it does. It's hard to see. It's kind of faint, but there's the SIG logo, the little rifle thing they have right there. So this is a SIG barrel, original. Only anomaly I see is the complete serial number stamped on the barrel. It's kind of unusual. Trigger mechanisms are a thing of beauty. Right? Like that. Like that. It's out. That trigger is out of there. And with a small pair of needle nose, I just grab the spring, pull it out. Boom. Slide the ejector out, and it's apart. Wow, how ingenious is this whole thing? If you look inside that front well for the front, this part of the front of the receiver, what would be the recoil lug on conventional rifles, but this is not a conventional rifle. You're going to see that thing does not come to rest anywhere in this well. It doesn't make contact with the well other than on the bottom of it. Whereas all conventional rifles, the back edge of this, the front edge of this wood and the back edge of this are the two contacts that allow most of the energy to come through the stock, which brings it through the weak part of the stock that's been cut out. So your energy is traveling from here through there and back down through the butt. But a K-31's recoil system is not like that. It's unique. The recoil lug is back here. It's at the back of the trigger housing. Can you see that? Your recoil lug is back here. That is your recoil lug back there. The energy is only transmitted through a shorter distance, only through solid wood. See that? And then the tang lines it up in there and keeps the thing lined up. The receiver basically is not even seated to the stock. The receiver itself, as in the rifle, this whole part of it is basically free floated. It only makes contact with the bottom of the front main screw. And what happens is, now keep this in mind, these are shimmed when they're at the factory. These are shimmed. The armor determines how much shim is required to get that predetermined amount of free play and preload at the barrel up here at the front, right? You understand what I'm saying? So then they epoxy in the proper shim, because when it's all put together now, this front main screw, when it's tightened down, doesn't tighten against to smush it together. That's already been determined. That front main screw tightens down against the barrel. That is not a blind hole. That hole goes through the receiver to the barrel, and it bottoms out against the barrel, which means that it perpetually never crushes this part of it, which is critical to the geometry. It always remains the same. And then back here at your tang, that's where you get a little bit of room there to play with the screw. That's why tuning the screws can be effective on K-31s, tuning the rear screw. But generally, from the factory, these things are right on the button. Like I showed you, this thing is perfectly neutral, standing on butt. See, but that's how they work. Recoil lug back here, unlike any other rifle. Recoil lug back here, like any other rifle you'll find in the world, basically. Totally different. Brilliant, actually. Of course, you're going to want to inspect everything. You're going to be looking for any kind of cracks up here around the front lugs. See? Normal wear on it. I think it looks good right there. Yeah? You're going to want to look at your cocking stem here. All looks good, used, but all looks good. Nice firing pin, right? Want to look, make sure it all looks like it's tip-top shape. Okay, of course your mainspring. There's a guy that makes mainsprings for these. I got a couple of them, they're pretty nice. Here's your bolt plug. Got your markings on it, of course. 1943 right there, which is commensurate with the rifle. This thing is an original rifle. This has been issued once and then was put away, and now I have it. And then you're going to want to look here, right along there. That's where the release lever rides in the receiver. You're going to want to look for that edge there, see how worn that is. See, this has almost no wear on it. Right? That's good. Right in here too, you're going to want to look at this bearing surface right in here. Look at that. That's a really nice shape right there. This has been used, but it's really good shape still. I can see that. Very little wear along these edges here. Stainless steel knob. Stainless steel knob. Textured stainless steel knob. Nice piece of work right there, boys. This is what makes the whole rifle work. If you look at this thing, see, if you want to put this thing back together without the firing pin, mainspring, and cocking piece, you can, to put it in the rifle and see how well it works. See, you can just take it, put it all back like that, without all that mainspring stuff, right? And now you can put this in the rifle. Gives you an idea how it all works. There's no spring pressure, it's just all on its own. You can see how the camming device works. For lack of a better way to say it, this is a semi-automatic design without a gas operating system. The human being is the gas operating system in this. Pretty cool, huh? And it all locks up. You can just tell. Nothing on it. You can get an idea of your free play on the bolt. But now that we got it apart like that, next thing we're going to do is we are going to check headspace. Okay guys, we're going to do a headspace check on the K-31 I just got, and just to kind of show you some of the what I do and some of the things I use to do that. First, you're going to notice I've got a just a wooden dowel I use put down the barrel because I'm going to incorporate the use of different shell casings here that I have. These have all been precisely sized to represent different head spaces, from 1/800, 1 inch 800 thousandths, to 801, 802, 803, 804, 805, 806, 807, 808, and 809. And then the headspace gauge in itself is 1/810. If the no-go gauge gets put in the chamber and the bolt will close on the barreled receiver with the no-go gauge in it, that means your headspace is out of line. It's too big. You need to do something with it. Get a different oversized bolt, which they do make, and go from there. But I have not checked this. First thing I want to do is I want to put the no-go gauge in it and make sure that it's at least within maximum spec. So let's get to that there, and I'll show you what else I do here to work the bolt properly, so you can get the proper accurate readings on it. You're going to need to disassemble the bolt. You're going to pull out the mainspring, the firing pin, and the cocking stem, and you're going to reassemble the bolt back together without those things in it. The receiver, I have removed the release lever for the bolt itself, so all any kind of resistance to having that bolt go in and out of into battery and out of battery has been removed. It should just go in and out of there very easily. And then of course I have another wooden dowel I just used to as I test the headspace, the actual particular headspace on it. I just use this to tap my shell casing into the chamber so it's seated properly. But let me put this together, put the bolt together, and we'll get started. Okay, as you can see, with the headspace gauge in it, the no-go gauge, it does not, that bolt will not close. See it there? Okay, that's good. That's what I want to see. Knock the headspace gauge out of it, and it felt like the bolt was pretty tight in there. I mean, relatively far from going closed on the no-go gauge, so it'll give me kind of some idea where to start. I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with 1806. Okay, I'm going to start with the 1806 shell casing here. Like I say, I've had these all precisely measured, and of course I etched the size. You probably can't see it, but with an inscriber I etched the size on the case too. But what we're going to do is we're going to take and put that in the chamber. This is 1806. I know it's at least, tap it, so I know that casing is seated all the way in the chamber. And let's see. See, okay, 806 does not close on it. Just touching it does not close. So I know that headspace is less than 1 inch 806. Take that one out. Let's try an 805. Here's what I've got. This one is 1805. We'll put it in. Tap it in there so I know it's seated in there good. And that's a little bit closer. You see that right there? That doesn't quite close either. So that's, I know that it's a little bit smaller than 1" 805. That's good. Normally I like to see the headspace on K-31s to be in the 1/803, 804 range. That's what most of the good ones are. 803, 804. Alright, so let's try an 804. Go a little bit smaller here. This one is 1" 804. Okay? So this one is 1" 804. I've got it etched on the case also. Let's put it in there. Put it in. Make sure it's seated all the way. See that? That just goes closed. You feel it? See it there? Just goes closed. So this has got right there. I can feel it just come tight right there. Just lock up right there as it goes closed. Right over the. See? And if I put my. There's no movement in that bolt whatsoever. Okay, I can feel that right there. That tells me that the headspace on this rifle is going to check 1" 804. Now mind you, the final test really is a fired case. You measure a fired case to see how accurate it is, but I have every reason to think that's what this headspace is going to be when I test fire this rifle. Is 1" 804. Just to kind of give you an idea. Let's try 1" 803. 1/1000th of an inch tighter yet. And this will probably go closed easily. See that? It does. See it just... So 1" 805 it would not quite close. 1" 803 it goes closed very easily. See, and that's right in there too. So that's... This thing is right at the... I give it 1" 804 for the headspace, okay? So that's how I make my checks to check headspace on a rifle that I have not yet fired, and it comes through the use of some very nicely sized used shell casings. That's how I determine a headspace on a particular K-31. Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to take and we're going to get this screw out of here. And it's got kind of a castle nut type of thing on it. And so for that, I've got this tool right here. See that? I do believe, if I remember correct, this is a sight tool, rear sight tool for, I think this is a rear sight tool for an M1 Grand. If I remember right, I got it, I found it, I bought it, and then because I figured it was close enough, and with just a very little bit of grooming on these tips here, deepening the well just slightly, it not only works whatever sight tool it was intended for on the M1 Grand, still works on that, but now it allows me to get into the and get that thing loose. See that? Nothing to it. There's your little castle screw. Now I just need to push that pin out of there. You want to be careful once again. Okay, now you're going to want to push that pin out of there, and it's usually they just come out, but you want to be careful if you don't that you don't push any wood loose here. I gotta kind of get a feel and see if it's loose or not. I think we're going to be good. Yeah, there we go. See, it just came right out. No muss, no fuss, no big deal. Okay, that's the rear latch. The rear latchy. Yep. Okay, here's how I'm gonna take out the sight on this. I got some little leather strip. I use leather strips on quite a bit of this kind of stuff, taking it apart, putting it together. But I just take this. I got myself a little C-clamp there that I'm just going to take and clamp over the sight. And in essence, all that's happening here is I'm just taking the pressure off of this sight. Got myself a little cute little hammer. First I just want to tap it in. Get it to go in just a little bit. Okay. Next I want to see if I can't get a hit on this thing. See if we can't get a hit on this. There we go. And when you get certain points, you're just going to want to tap it out, grab it, tap it out. Don't let it fly away on you. Then you can just pull your punch out. Little tiny punch thingamahooter. 3/30 seconds punch. 3/30 seconds punch. And then pull off our little thingamahooter. Lift the side out. And grab the spring and pull it out. And there you go. Now you do it. Here's your sight. Take and pull that off of there. Now you got a button and a spring right there. You see that? Okay, so here's your little spring out of the sight. You don't want to lose that little bastard. So this is what I do. I just take a little wire tie from trash bag or whatever, plastic one. See, and I'll just tie it up, and it doesn't need to do anything now until it's ready to go back together, but I won't lose it that way, right? Okay, I've already taken it off, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of insight on how I get the rear sling bar loose. Of course, obviously some stuff you're going to use. I got a heat gun that I use to warm things up. You're going to need some isopropyl alcohol, a couple Q-tips. Here's a little tool I made. It's just a needle epoxied in something I can hold on to. This little guy, small little pry bar type of thing. Of course, a screwdriver to get the screws loose with a good fitting bit on it. And then another little tool that I made specifically for this job. I've ground the end of it down here to a particular size and shape. This actually started out as a takedown tool for a Springfield 1903. But initially, to get the screws loose, because sometimes the screws can be in there very, very hard, and you don't want to. You want your screwdriver bit to fit very good in there, because if it comes out of the slot, it's going to damage that screw, and you don't want to do that. But you're going to want to take first and use your heat gun a little bit to put a little heat into this whole area here. And then what that'll do is that'll make the screws come loose a little bit easier. Once you break them loose, once you get them to break loose, you can take them out. You'll be good to go. Like I say, which I've already done. Then you got this, and what you're going to find is that these are usually in here very hard. If they've never been taken out before, like this one was not. This was put in at the arsenal when this rifle was made and has not ever been out since. First thing I'm going to do is I take around the edge of it. Of course, this will be this sling bar will be recessed into the stock a little bit. You're going to take this needle and go around the edge and carefully break the finish loose from the sling bar. Kind of separate them a touch. Just kind of scrape it out of there. Then you're going to want to get your Q-tip. Get your Q-tip, your isopropyl alcohol, because this finish will dissolve with isopropyl. You're going to want to get in there and clean all that out, around the radius of that sling bar on both ends. Okay, once you get that cleaned out, this is where this tool comes in handy. I take it, and if you can see that, I've taken and I've ground the end of it so it's smooth, and it will fit just nicely in there, so that I can take my hammer and put it in there. And with this, in there, you're going to take it and put it in there, and you're going to just kind of tap it so you push that wood back a little bit. So you push that wood back, push that edge back, because over time that wood becomes encrusted over the edges of this sling bar, and if you just try to pull it out, it's going to break wood loose from there too, and you don't want to do that. So you're going to kind of gently work this in there, both sides, this side, that side, with the sling bar in there, of course, and just kind of tap it so that it kind of pushes that wood back from the edge a touch, just to kind of get it broke loose. Then, with this still in there, you're going to want to take a wooden dowel, and then with the wooden dowel, what I'll do is I'll just take and I'll tap on it, beat it around a little bit gently though, as it's warmed up. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to just give it a little free play in there, just kind of get it to come loose a little bit. And then after you do that a bit, you're going to want to take this tool here, you're going to take it and lay it under there like that, and just gently tap on it here. Not hard, not too hard, you just kind of use your best judgment. See? And now you're going to take it and just tap it. And if you tap on it a little bit with reasonable force, if it doesn't come out, just take it and keep working it. Just tap this around, tap it both up, front, back. Take it, tap it there with it, tap it here with it. Anything you can do to loosen that up a little bit. Because what will happen in this particular case, this took about 15 minutes for me to get this out of here. So you have to be patient. You got to let the heat gun, put some heat to it. It softens up the finish and expands the metal a little bit. As it cools, it will shrink slightly. And then eventually, as you tap on this, as you tap on it, you'll see that it will. If I can do this so you can see that without being in the way here. Let me turn this around. See, and then eventually what you're going to do is you'll tap it like this, and if you notice, once one side of it breaks loose, you get one side of it to break loose, because one side you'll have to kind of, that's something you got to get a little look for, see which side looks like it's going to break loose first. See, now that come loose. Like I said, I've already had this out. Now you're just going to get one side of it just loose enough to where it can clear the wood. And when it clears the wood, you're going to want to slide it out this way without pulling the other side out, straight out. So that you're going to slide one end out after you get one end broke loose and free of the wood, so you can just slide that out of there. See, and that way you won't do any damage to the wood. So now that gets me a nice clean sling cut out there to work with and clean up. Okay? Wanted you to see that.